Hi, John.
Hey, Alex.
Do you know what I hate?
What do you hate?
This movie. Just no cuteness. It's just this movie.
Okay.
That's it. The movie, The Smashing Machine, in heavy quotes, starring Dwayne Johnson.
Why the heavy quotes?
Because saying starring is when you can be outshone, when somebody else in the cast is exponentially better than you, and they're a fucking UFC fighter, not an actor, you are having trouble. And the fact that this is supposed to be his big Oscar bid is just, this movie is actively embarrassing for me. Like that this got the buzz it did.
Huh. I liked it. I don't think it's, I could absolutely see criticisms towards it. It has a lot of problems, but I enjoyed it. Actually, it's funny because I had read critiques that say that, oh, it's so obvious that the makeup really accentuates that it's The Rock. It doesn't hide it. And most of the time I was like, yeah, I don't know that that's true. And then he shaves his head and I'm like, oh yeah, no, that's The Rock. that's the hair's doing a lot of work.
I had the exact same thought because I was actually impressed by the makeup, but then when the hair went away, I'm like, oh no, it wasn't that.
Yeah.
From the jump, that voiceover in the beginning, it's terrible. The acting in that is just embarrassing. I get that he's doing a good impression, or at least I assume he is, but I don't know what that guy sounds like. And, I shouldn't need to for me to enjoy the movie, because that's my main critique of this. One, the Rock's not that good. He's fine, except for the fact that this is supposed to be his Oscar bid, and this is an embarrassing performance for your Oscar bid. It's fine. It's a C. But this entire movie is predicated on me giving a shit about this man in this world before it starts. And I don't, and I think the movie is literally a failure at being a movie.
That is certainly a problem with it, in that, this is a movie about Mark Kerr, who was a huge fighter in the Ultimate Fighting Championship world before it became this multi-billion-dollar thing. There was a documentary about him called The Smashing Machine, which this movie has taken some criticism for, being too similar to. In fact, redoing some scenes from that, shot for shot. I have not seen that movie, so I can't speak to that, but I am kind of curious about it. And it's also about how he's kind of this unappreciated guy in this sport, because he was doing it for his weird love of the game or whatever weird issues he had before it was a super money making enterprise. At the same time, it doesn't want to be a sports movie. It doesn't want to be your traditional one of these kind of movies that a guy overcomes a bunch of hardship to rise to the top, that kind of thing, hit all the similar beats that biopic and sports movies tend to do. And so as a result, it pulls back and does this realist sort of view of it. But it doing so, it keeps him at arm's length the entire time. It keeps everyone at arm's length. It's this very sort of distant observational movie, which is kind of, the Safdie's style, even though it's a singular Safdie here. But that kind of focus on realism, where there are other movies that sort of has that kind of percolating tension throughout it. And the realist part of it, where you're just watching these people go through their day, kind of adds to it, because you're waiting for the other shoe to drop so often, or these guys to get into more trouble. And this is just watching a guy fritter about his day for a lot of it. You don't get too close to him.
Yeah, and it's a severe problem for me, because this movie is so tell, don't show. It's fucking incredible. The only thing that's interesting that happens to him in his life, or that's a huge overstatement. The reason we're following him, not some other guy, is because he overcame his addiction to drugs, which we didn't see.
Mm-hmm.
We saw him on drugs a little bit. We heard about the problem. And then he off screen went to rehab, and then seemed to not struggle at all being off drugs. Where's the drama?
I think the drama, because I did like that part where it's okay, this is, because it was so early on in the movie. I knew I knew a little bit about the guy, and that he struggled with drugs, but it happened so early on that I'm like, okay, well, he's going to struggle again. This is just there's sort of an ellipsis, and they're going to come back to it. This could be a recurring thing. No. It's he just does this, and then the drama is supposed to be that dealing with his wife, his girlfriend at the time, Dawn Staples, played by Emily Blunt. That's certainly there, and it's certainly in the background. And part of that, you could make the argument that it's sort of reflecting of him himself, that it seems like he kind of wants her at arm's length. You know, he wants her to be the girlfriend or whatever when she's there, but then he's really just much more interested in the fighting and this part of it. But then as a result, that drama is lessened some. And I think Emily Blunt, who I do think is good in this, doesn't have a whole lot to do.
One of my major problems is the Emily Blunt of it all, because she was so annoying, but purposely, like she did it so well, but she's not there enough. So the infrequency of her showing up, I can't get attached to her. So all that I'm getting is an annoying person.
Right.
Like, there's not the drama of it, which I can see that being an argument. Like she's doing the role well. I just think the role isn't there. Like there's not really a role there for her to play. And it's, I found it so irritating. Like,
well, that's part of the problem.
The wrong word.
Well, it's just that's part of the problem is that if she's indeed supposed to be like, we're supposed to be feeling what he's feeling, in sort of her representation, we're also still keeping him at arm's length. So like, we're not getting, you know, like, so if he's in love with the fights, and if he's in love with this sort of punishment of this sort of immortality, invincibility that he perceives himself to have, and is trying to sort of hold up the entire time, even after he gets beaten in it. His whole like self view is sort of crumbled, and he's fighting to get that back. But like, because the fights themselves are also done at a distance, they're always done outside the ring. It has this this kind of documentary observational feel. We're not getting that like gritty in there. Like not to make the comparison to, you know, 1-to-1 to say like Raging Bull, famous for its fight scenes and getting you in there. It just, this does the complete opposite and just pulls you out. And so again, if I'm supposed to be really digging in with him, I can't, you're not letting me do that. So then instead of recognizing her as this vestigial part of his life that he can't figure out what he wants to do with, it just feels like a part of the movie they didn't think through.
Her role felt like, in the same way they established him being on drugs by like telling us he was on drugs, her role felt like the lead up to his real relationship. Like he's going to find somebody else in the same way he was going to fall off the wagon, but doesn't. Like, I'm going to try not to come back to this point a million times, but I don't understand why they chose this man to make a movie about. There's not a movie here. There's no story. He was hooked on drugs, I think, because they told us, I didn't see it, got off of it on the first try and didn't win many fights, because they say he won a bunch of fights. We just watch a guy lose a bunch, have one emotional reaction to it, and then another one at the end. What's the narrative here? Like, what's the journey we went on? Like, oh, he used to think he can't lose, and then he lost. Now he understands he can lose. Yay?
Yeah, I mean, it is an alienated guy. I think that to a degree is interesting, and obviously, you know, the documentary covers that as well, and apparently better. I think there is something interesting there, but I do think, like you said, I do think the movie keeps it at such a distance. It's hard to get in there. That it is this guy sort of struggling to figure out these two halves of his life. I also, it's kind of, you know, it's a kind of a character study thing. I enjoyed just watching, like, I could listen to The Rock as this guy talk about his tummy all day long. I enjoyed any scene where he would complain about his tummy issues. It's not that I disagree with you. It's just, this is such an Oscar bait movie that like the thing you like is this silly, stupid thing. Because if this was less of a serious movie, I would have actually, because that tummy thing is like, man, if this movie wasn't trying so hard, I would have liked a lot of this. Yeah, but I think I like that because it is sort of a more like humanistic element. And then but in the fact, like, in how he deals with it when like he can't go on the not the tilt-a-whirl, whatever that ride is that sticks you to the side.
Yeah, the cyclotron,
yeah. Where he's like talking to the guy about like, how do I get in there? You know, I have a tender stomach. And then the guy's like, don't get on there. You know, it sounds like you can't get on. It's not that I can't, I'm choosing not to. And that kind of defensiveness, more of those scenes like that, I would have, you know, might've been a little bit more fun or alleviated some of those problems. It's too fly on the wall.
Yes, we need to be closer, or we need a different subject matter. I'm going to cycle back to that. But one of the problems I have with his voice, and this is you're going to understand this, and maybe some of the audience will. I'm sorry, this is like a really niche reference, but it threw me so bad. He sounds like when Scott Aukerman is doing his Woody Allen movie impression. Oh, come on, we can go to, you know, that like whiny. Have you ever heard him do that?
Yeah.
He sounds like The Rock doing Mark Kerr. He's got that like high, like it's the same delivery and kind of the same wording. And I'm not saying it threw me out, but like, because I was looking for anything to like about this movie, I'm like, oh, that reminds me of something I like a lot more than this.
See, yeah, but I guess I just like, again, I just like his aw shucks earnestness. with the guy. Like how much of that is a put on, or how much of that like he actually believes, but just that he's this giant guy and he's like, yes, ma'am, I would like more breakfast. I found charming. And again, I think again, it's because, and like you admit, like as you said, I fully admit that it is Oscar bait, but it's nice to see The Rock do this versus the shit he's always done. So I think I was a little bit charmed by that novelty as well.
What I came to the conclusion after being very upset by most of this film of how much I didn't like it, I realized that this movie would work a lot better if it was the Mark Coleman story and we get to see Mark Kerr every now and again. Like if we switch the amount of time, because Ryan Bader, the professional fighter who I've seen him fight, acts circles around the fucking Rock in this movie. He is so good in this, and he's not an actor. I mean, I guess technically he is an actor now, but like he's really good. I'm like, oh, I want to watch him. Like I like him dealing with his family. Like he's genuinely nice, and there's an empathy and a watchability to him. And every time it's The Rock, it's like The Rock's so like that kind of John Cena thing where it's like beep boop boop, this is me doing the thing. That I don't, and then him doing Kerr where that's supposed to be like playing off of that. I'm like, this is 4 levels of I don't know what you're doing. That Ryan Bader guy, or he's just fucking rocking it. I'm like, let's watch this guy. The Rock can show up,
Well, and I think part of the reason I like that is that I agree with you. Like, I do think John Cena is a talented performer, and I think he's a very funny guy, but I do think he does have that kind of like media managed persona. Very consciously aware. Yeah. Whereas I think Mark Kerr, like particularly like this was a time before, I think that sort of idea is much more present now, that sort of awareness. And so I think he's just like, no, I'm a nice man, and this is what nice people do. And I do kind of wish there was a little bit, like you said, there was a little bit more of the struggle with drugs, because I liked when he was zoned out watching TV. I just enjoyed watching that.
I would have liked to have seen that quite a bit more, because at least it would add a little bit to the drama. I would like to see him having a little bit of internal conflict. Like every time I'm so close to calling her Alison Brie. Every single fucking time I reference Emily Blunt, there's something very Alison Brie-y about this, and she was in that wrestling show. So anyway, every time they were in a fight, and Alison Brie's like, "Why don't you just hit me?" Blah blah blah. At no point did I think he was going to hit her. Now I'm not saying I need that. I don't need a woman to be hit in a movie, but I do want drama to be there where we think it might happen. This is a guy on a bunch of drugs. He's huge. Like, oh, this could be a scary moment and like bring something to the movie. And it's like the whole time you're like, nah, there's 0 chance this is going to happen. Like there's no, and that's just, I don't know what I'm watching.
But see, to me, like that feels like the fights feel like, or your description of the fights feel like how I feel about UFC fighting. And the stuff I've seen where so often it seems like you want to be like, okay, there's going to be some like anime, Baki, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure kind of like, dudes jumping off the fences and doing stuff. And so much of it is just grappling and rolling around and trying to get position. And I liked that the fights they would have, because I think that realism came through of just like the shitty little needling and then the denying, and having been in fights like that in my own life and been in some tumultuous relationships. Not to say that you haven't, you're a nightmare, but like recognizing some of that and finding that and really enjoying those performances in there, I think helped me get through that. But it is, again, like it is trying to avoid this high drama for a more sort of realist view, which is something that they're big on. The Safdies are big on. It's hard when when it's you keep the audience so far away.
Yeah, they also do. It's like purposeful to not give you anything to hang on to. The thing that we know in the United States is the UFC. So you're making a pseudo documentary fiction film about a UFC fighter, and the entire thing takes place in Pride in Japan. Like, do they know this is a fictional movie? You could just give us some, because if this was in the UFC, like just do the same plot, it would be a little better, because it's like, oh, at least I understand that. But them just referencing the Ultimate Fighting Championship and then going to Japan and never really being in it, just why it's a baffling decision.
They don't lean enough on the idea that he has to go to Japan to do this because he has nothing here. The stuff he's into isn't really around. They're already talking about banning it, and he can't make enough money doing it, so he has to go to Japan to do it, which is like really also alienating, because when he's talking to the people there, and like whether it's arguing about his payment or like the ruling or whatever, you get this guy that's like out of his element and really struggling for a job, for a career, for apparently a thing he loves that's already alienated him from competing in America. And I think that's done so subtly that it's hard to grasp that as a dramatic element to it. You have to like, it really wants you to spend the time thinking about that. And that isn't to say that you haven't. They could have, again, leaned into that a bit more.
I did pick up on it because I think it's there, and I guess subtle would be a nice way to put it. I don't think they did it well. I'm not saying you have to bang it over the head. It's just, there's a certain, there's no stakes to this movie. And like, because I don't care about him, I don't know what's on the line.
Mm-hmm.
Like, his house seems really nice. Where'd he get that money from?
Fighting, apparently.
Like, I know, I'm not, just like, there's nothing is explained in any form that makes me want to hang on to it. Like, if at that first Pride fight, you're like, third place gets X number of dollars, maybe I could get it. But like, the one fight, they're like, it's life-changing money, $200,000. Cool, but he doesn't win that. So can you tell me what he won? I'm not saying I need payouts, but just give me something to make me be with this character. The first fight he loses, like, oh man, I only got $500 for that fight. You could be like, oh man, he got his face smashed in for now I'm with you. I got a dead end job. We can do it. But no, it's just, my face hurts. I went in the shower a little bit, and then my bad girlfriend came back. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I think it's because again, that I'm going to keep talking about the distance of the movie it's tough because you're supposed to kind of infer this personal growth he does from that. But then it's also intercut with your buddy, Ryan Bader, having won the fight, just sitting in a room by himself. It's still like he has all this stuff, but outside of the ring, it's still alienating and strange. And then it's like, you should remember Mark Kerr. Why?
That was the nail in this movie's
Mark
coffin.
Kerr. Like that was very, that ending was very strange to me.
Multiple parts of it. One, what was he laughing at in the parking lot?
I don't know. It's like you just made him look like a psychopathic weirdo.
Beyond that, them having the balls to say the UFC makes this amount of money per year and you should remember Mark, you've given me no reason to do that.
Yeah.
As far as this movie is concerned, he's never been in the UFC. You showed us at some Pride fights. It would be like doing a documentary about Michael Jordan and then only showing that year that he played baseball, where it's like, yeah, but then in the end, he was in first ballot NBA Hall of Fame. Well, cool. Why didn't I get to see that?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like it's
that was a horrible analogy, and I know it, but
right. But I see what you're saying. But like, he's supposedly this key figure in the rise of the sport, and there's certainly like people talking about him, and there's press talking about him, and when he's doing the Pride fights, there's people outside cheering, but we don't get a lot of that, and that's fine if you want to like, well, we want to show you behind the curtain of what's going on. We don't want to just show you interacting with his fans, but they never tie it to, and because of this, UFC got more popular. It's just he did the thing that UFC also does, and now the UFC is popular, and it's hard to make that tie together. But I honestly loved how janky everything looked. Like that first fight when they're coming out of the cardboard pyramids in I forget where they're fighting in South America or whatever, where this is happening. It just made the sport seems as weird and silly as it is. To a degree, or like the way it was at that time in particular, that it wasn't all this like flash and gonna fight at the White House. It was just dudes going to Brazil to punch each other in the face.
There was aspects of that I enjoyed. The kind of Japanese culture I thought was interesting. Like that, they spent way too long on it, but that guy shredding the Japanese national anthem, that guitar guy,
great. Yeah,
that was fun. Like there's aspects of this movie that I thought looked good, but the parts that looked good or came across well, I really. It was detracted by the documentary style of like following everybody with a camera and that thing. It's just, that didn't work for me at all. So anything that was kind of fun in this, I couldn't concentrate on because of I just think it's a bad choice. It's being next to him the whole time just doesn't work for me at all.
But again, it's that strange dichotomy of being next to him, but also not. You know what I mean? Like this guy's just it's not that he's not letting us in, is that the movie doesn't want to. It's spending time with him doing the strange thing. It's just like, again, frittering around his house or whatever, instead of having like the bigger moments.
Do you think Safdie did that on purpose?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because I think, again, it's this more desire for realism and that kind of thing. Like I did enjoy watching this, but it's pretty slack. watching people do stuff. There's not really a narrative thrust through the whole thing. And that's, again, when you're going to see a sports picture, you know, it's not a bad thing to defy expectations, but when you're just like, this is something completely different, I'm sure people didn't enjoy that.
Yeah, one of them. I don't even care that they didn't show a lot of the fighting. That's fine by me. I actually like the training sequences better than the fighting sequences. Like, that's more interesting to me. But I guess, yeah, the not being let in as the purpose of the film, trying to like describe alienation in that way is, I think, the point got across. But it's almost, and I bitch about this so fucking often, but it's that Moby Dick thing where people are like, no, the point of it is that it's boring because life on the sea was boring. It's like, then why would I read the fucking book? I don't want to spend 600 pages to get across the idea of, yeah, sometimes shit's boring. It's like this movie. Like, what do you do? I'm making this entire movie to show you how you sometimes aren't let into a person's inner life. Why would I watch that? Why would I watch this?
That's my thing with Only Lovers Left Alive. It's like, oh man, it's really boring to be alive that long. Wow. That's great. I could watch Werner Herzog's Nosferatu and get the same thing in a much better movie.
Yeah, it'd actually be interesting to watch.
Yeah. But no, and it is tough because I do think that there's something to that day to day. That is, I was enjoying just watching him argue for his paycheck and just navigating some of this stuff. When you get to the end of it, it's like, okay, but why? What did I get out of all this?
I would have enjoyed that a lot more because I don't think it's not like there's nothing there, but it's that there isn't a larger thing for me to hold on to. Like these, like the things in this movie are all secondary things and there's no primary thing. So if there was just like, if The Rock were charismatic in this, and I don't mean charismatic, but if he was like a more charming, lovable kind of coming across the screen that way, or the opposite way, you wanted to hate him, like just give me something toothsome, something to hold on to, then all that other side shit I could probably get into. But the fact the whole movie was side shit, it just left me not even left me wanting, it left me bored out of my fucking socks. At one point I paused and there's 40 minutes left. I'm like, the movie hasn't done anything yet.
I liked a little bit of him coming back from rehab. Emily Blunt, Don Staples just trying to carry on as normal. And we don't get too much of that back and forth of like, oh, she's out drinking again or something like that. The only thing that bothered me about it is that like the scene when she's in the car with her friend and she just lays out all the emotional beats in a line of dialogue that should be saying, where she's like, no, it's just hard because he's no longer a drug addict. And I turns out I really liked caring for him and he's just not fun anymore. And I'm just going to say the subtext of my character out loud. It was like, okay. Like, it's also like if we came to that realization later rather than you just like, I'm going to fill in some blanks here so you know what's coming up later.
It's so awkward. It's the same as the drug. Oh, he has a drug addiction. Okay. That would have been cool to see.
Yeah. But I really did like, and again, with the, props to Ryan Bader, that scene where they're in the hospital room and The Rock's trying to just like talk it off. Like the way he talks about getting, when he's beat up in a fight and he's like, oh yeah, it's fine. I got banged up, but I'm fine. And then, Ryan Bader's just like, you can't keep doing this, man. And he immediately cracks and starts crying. And I like that breaking of kayfabe, as it were.
That was nice. I'm gonna give up on this now, but a perfect analogy would be if Basketball Diaries opens with Jim Carroll getting clean.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, all the interesting stuff's over. What are we supposed to do now?
It's him just buying pens to write his book.
Yeah. Walking around hey, I blew that guy once. Like, it's just not, I can't, every time Ryan Bader was on screen, I was just amazed. And I don't want to this might be the best athlete to actor performance I've ever seen on like this kind of level. He's so natural on screen. And it's one of those like, that like it factor. It's like, oh fuck. Was he in the wrong career? Like, should he have started acting instead of going to UFC? Because like, I really like this guy.
And I like the two of them together. Like, I like when they're, you hear the whole dialogue about like, oh, you may have to fight each other. You may have to fight each other. And then it's just them sitting in the back room, like yelling like, oh, look at page 5. Look at this picture of you. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. That was fun.
Yeah. I really enjoyed watching them together. And then I'm assuming your familiarity with the sport that you know Bas Rutten.
So Bas Rutten, I've never been more excited to see a name in a credits list.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching with Carrie and I had to explain who Bas Rutten was. I'm like, all right, you need to, and she's never going to do it, but like our audience at home, You need to look up Boss Rutan teaches self-defense or words like that. You're going to find one of his videos. Have you seen this?
This is my only touch point with Boss Rutan.
It's incredible. It's like him in a bar and he's teaching you how to like break someone's thumb.
Yeah, it's like how to be a bouncer, basically. Like, yeah.
But Boss is kind of amazing. He's one of those like bigger than life kind of characters. And he's honestly, I'd watch a Boss Rutan documentary faster than I'd watch this thing again. But it was so nice to see him show up because like, oh my God, that's actually him. Like, this is so exciting.
Because he is a character in and of himself. And that, I can't tell you how many times I watched that video. Dang-a-da, love it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Why you do this? But
dang-a-da. Yeah. That's awesome.
He is great. He's a trainer in the movie. I think he's basically playing himself.
I think so.
I think they call him Boss, and he's like when he's announcing for Pride as well, unless that's an artistic license. Don't care. But he's very enjoyable to watch. And then when he showing him how to do some moves, he ends up like throwing out a tendon in his arm. These few moments in there of like these guys actually dealing with the results of their lifelong commitment to violence in this sport. That he threw out a tendon or something like that. It's like I knew it was going to go, and it hurt so bad. And Mark Kerr has some drugs left that he hid at the place at the training facility, and he's like, I'm not using anymore, but I have these. Like, I don't care, just give it to me. This hurts so bad that these aren't like these are macho men, but like pain still hurts, and pain can still fuck these guys up. And then his reaction to getting high, it's like, oh man, I feel like a plane. I love it.
Okay, so as far as I didn't find him in IMDb, but the Wikipedia lists him as Bass Rutan, like in the movie. That scene of Boss getting high was really fun, that part. But I was infuriated by how little it's like him just trusting, oh no, I've had these drugs stored here for a while.
Yeah.
Because what that's a chance to have drama. These drugs here that have stored for a while, and there's no point where he like looks at them or there's hesitation or thinks about just, nope, I'm a great guy, throwing them out because I'm clean now from that thing that we didn't get shown.
Yeah. And then like the only time that drama rears its head in that relationship is when Dawn shows up, and it's like, well, this person's kind of a pain in the ass, and he's like, it's fine. I'm going to go live with her. You don't need to train. We get some more of them fighting, but still, again, at arm's length.
One of the things I liked about Dawn is every time she walks in a room, like Ryan Bader, what's his name? Mark Coleman in this, you could see his face just like, oh God, this fucking thing. Like, he knows how bad it is. Boss knows how bad this is. Like, everybody knows how toxic she is and how toxic they are to one another, except for him. And I love the facial work on every time she walks in the room of everybody else being like, oh God, this.
Yeah, everyone has had a friend like that. Or, has been like, oh, this is, I hate this person's relationship, but they're in love with them and whatever. I'm trying to respect them, but man, this person sucks.
It's really fun.
But it's tough because like for a little bit, it kind of felt like, what if a guy was all right, but his girlfriend was a bitch? And then it graduates a little bit out of that. But I think part of that is still there of like, since they don't give Dawn enough to do, she's just kind of a thorn in his side. But at the same time, like, she's not wrong about a lot of things that she's saying in terms of like, dealing with him about the drugs and some of the stuff. And she just can't navigate some of her own bullshit is the problem.
As much as I don't want this movie to be longer, I would have liked to spend more time with her to get a deeper sense of the character, because it is an interesting character. I think it would be not fun, but it would be interesting to follow her around and see like more on what her side looks like, except for a couple of exposition dumps. Because she does I think she's got enough depth that it's not just she's a shrew, but it's basically that.
Yeah.
And it's annoying because Mark isn't doing great there either. Like, he's just kind of performative towards her. That's the other aspect of this, that because we're at a distance from Mark, no emotion that he felt throughout the movie felt real to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if they're actually in love or she's just hot, so he's with her. Like, I don't know, like none of the emotional stakes kind of I connected with him. Like, even like when he cries, it seems like he's crying because that's what he's supposed to do right now. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but that kind of vibe.
Well, particularly because so much of what we're seeing at the beginning of him kind of being an aw shucks guy is sort of revealed to be like, oh, he's just trying to get drugs. Like the way he's on the phone with people, and just like the way he's like, oh, a day without pain is like a day without sunshine. I'm used to it. And I don't want to trouble you guys with having to give me the shot all the time. Is there any way that I could just give me the shot when I want to? Yeah.
I did like that when he was getting drugs that way, but that was in the first 10 minutes. Yeah.
Right. Or like when they're in Japan and he's trying to get drugs from the guy, and she's like, let's just get out of here. And he's like, no.
Oh yeah.
So it sort of belies some of that. And I don't mind that, like that subtle peeling away of character and like what we've seen. But at the same time, again, not to just repeat myself yet again, but that distance makes it difficult. And it does make me really want to watch the documentary for this having a documentarian or sort of a more documentary style, how the actual version of that plays. Because I mean, that's a lot different framework for a story, because there's it's more common to have like text come up and tell you things or a narration or something like that. And this eschews all of that. So
I'm slightly curious about the documentary only because of how much I didn't like this. And like, maybe there's something more there, but I want to see what Dawn's like in real life. I don't know how much she shows up in the documentary, because if I were that woman, I hope I got a paycheck for this movie, because she does not come across well. Like it is very, very not good to her. And I hope she got money for it. Because that's rough. But when they have the big fight at the end where she threatens to kill herself, I'm like, this would have been such a good scene if I had more time with her before, but I didn't. So it's like, I don't know if this is supposed to all be performative, if this is supposed to be kind of real, kind of performative.
Right.
Because she stops in front of the door to make sure he sees her. But I don't know her enough. And I'm not invested enough in this movie to be like, oh, what an interesting take, to not really show me what's going on here. It's just, man, that interesting lady. Sure wish I knew more about her before this giant thing.
It does seem, I mean, it did seem to me to be somewhat performative, that kind of like borderline personality disorder kind of thing of like, well, look at what you made me do. I'll show you. But again, that was my read, but I don't know her well enough, There's another aspect of this, and this is more in the write-up I'm reading on Wikipedia, but they refer to Dawn as going back to her, in quotes, hedonistic habits. Obviously, this is a Wikipedia plot synopsis. This is not official. I think it would have been better if we saw that a little bit more, because it looked like she was just going out and having a couple margs with the girls. Right.
Like, it didn't seem particularly hedonistic. It seemed like an appropriate level of alcohol use. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened, but I need to see a lot more than that to call this hedonistic. And since this is in the write-up, I feel like that's probably what they were trying to get across. But to me, it just seemed like she was just having a few tall boys.
But even that can be, if you are in recovery, that can be a thing. That's a thing to navigate. If you're like, look, I'm in a position, where I want to say they even did something like this kind of on The Sopranos or something like that, where Christopher is like pissed at Adriana for like, where it's just like, I can't even be around this stuff. Like, why can you respect me enough to not do this around me?
That would be, that's fine.
But
sorry.
No, but that being said, like, it is just like, well, this happens once and he's mad about it. And it's like, that's fair. That's a conversation, but it just doesn't keep going. It's a one-off thing. And
it being such a small amount, it's just having her having a couple drinks here and there. I'm not trying to like, it's a bullshit move on her part. She actually supports her partner, which she doesn't. Like they say, I only want to take care of him, yada, yada. Yeah, you shouldn't have a beer without express consent and make sure that like they've been sober for a few years. Right. I'm on that page. It's just, what is that telling me about her character? Is it telling me that she's so selfish that she needs to have a few margs here and there? Is she somebody with a substance abuse problem? Is that why she's doing it? I need character depth and motivation, not just the thing she does and therefore fight. And we only see it once and we have one conversation.
I think, I think it's just, you get these little elements of their relationship and like the control aspect of his life. And that, she tries to make him a smoothie in the morning and she made it with the wrong milk. And so he just dumps it all out rather than just being like, well, in the future, I'm my weight gain loss cycle or whatever is I'm bulking right now. So I need whole milk and you made it with 2%. And so he just dumps it all out and makes it again. And like, I can see him being like, I can't even be around the wafts of alcohol or this kind of shit. Like, I need you to not pay attention to that, and not communicating that and whatever. But it adds a level of frustration to the proceedings because you yourself don't know what he's all about. And I don't feel like that's a character issue. You know what I mean? Like, I think they try to work it in to be like, have that same kind of idea repeated later with this drinking conversation. But instead it just feels like, oh, I feel like this is just a shortcut for other scenes that would normally be in this kind of movie.
Yeah, shortcut's a good way to put it.
But that's also like to me, that's also interesting because I'm looking at this not as a biopic, but a movie about biopics. You know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking about this not just in like, how effective is this movie doing, but I'm comparing it to other sports movies I've seen and just so what it's doing. So as sort of an academic exercise, I found it interesting on that level. Similar to how like watching Gus Van Sant's shot for shot remake of Psycho. Like you can't watch that and be like, well, how is his version of Psycho? Because his version of Psycho is Alfred Hitchcock's version of Psycho. So you're kind of forced to recognize it as this separate thing. And so while I think that's an interesting way to view this movie, that also sucks because like the movie itself is not, it's hard to appreciate the movie on its own terms.
The phrase I kept coming back to is this movie thinks it's a lot better than it is. Mm-hmm. And you just described that kind of well, of like, he's going for this lofty thing, this meta aspect of something, this reflection upon reflection. You're not good enough at movies yet, man. Like, you're not there.
It's a question of not just the like not good enough, but you went too far in the other direction. You experimented with 1,000 volts when you should have been doing 250. Or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, and electricity is really bad use for going like, this is boring, but like you pulled too far away. You went for this like super macro view from space view when you could have done a bird's eye view. And that alienation from it is more felt by the viewer rather than the viewer feeling Mark's alienation. I'm feeling more alienated from the film than I am feeling finding similarity in Mark's alienation.
The other, just going back to the alcoholism, that fight, at one point, like I think it starts the big fight, but he's drinking something out of like what looks like a beer bottle.
Yeah.
Was that supposed to be ginger ale? Was that supposed to be beer?
I don't know if that was supposed to be like a near beer or something like that, because she even kind of like, I thought she made some sort of offhanded comment that, like, well, I can have, that about what he couldn't have before a fight. So I don't know, but I did kind of have that similar thought of like, they didn't bother to like underline it and be like, no, it's O'Doul's. Don't worry about it, everybody.
Yeah, for the one thing for this movie that doesn't just tell us, that's actually something I kind of need to know.
Yeah.
The other aspect, and I get what they're doing, but when he loses the second round of Pride, or no, I'm all over the place. When he loses the fight, when it's all flashbacks to Dawn and his relationship,
yes,
like showing that he can't concentrate. So this movie says this guy was undefeated. He says it. So like he says he is a good fighter. That is the statement.
Mm-hmm.
At no point do we see that. And this is an especially like egregious example of that. You're saying as a professional fighter, as someone that's been doing this for at least a few years, you can't just turn off your outside life. Because like, to me, that means you're not a good fighter. Like if you can be distracted by what's going on in your outside life when you're in the ring and fighting for your life, which is what you keep saying you're doing, like, oh, it's the greatest thing in the world. It's not then, because you're focused on your outside life. Like this is antithetical to what you've told us about what you do when you're in the ring.
Well, I don't know if some of that was also supposed to be underpinned by his opiate addiction. When Bass Rutan's like, oh, I feel like a plant, and how do you fight on this stuff? And the Mark Kerr's like, you just got to push through it or whatever. If that like deadened everything, and so that now that he doesn't have that, that's harder to deal with. But we've also seen him do fights after that. So, you know, I'm
kind of okay with that as an explanation. Yeah, that's all right with me. I mean, I don't love it, but I'm all right with that, I guess.
Yeah, it is, because like, we also get that whole speech from him at the beginning where he's like, the reporter asked him like, can you imagine losing? He's like, I can't even intellectualize that with you. How is that even possible? That he's confronted with that reality that he has been fragile and dealing with this stuff. Again, it's sort of the presentation of that feels like a shortcut for some of that, like that we've been seeing this stuff kind of percolate throughout it, but it just, the fact that it's that moment where it all happens feels a little strange.
The whole thing kind of feels strange to me. The big loss at the end where they go to the Pride Championship and he just gets his ass kicked in the second round. They spent so much time hyping up this championship and so little time with him dealing with the result of it that, again, it's just like, it's the end of the movie, but like, I feel like all of the attention that this movie pays is in the wrong spot. Where like they built up this thing and it's just like, it's a wet fart. And like, I guess the big cathartic ending is he's in Mark's in like the shower laughing and he's like, I lost. That's not satisfying to me. Like maybe that's not an objective statement, but to me, that's not satisfying. I mean, like, that's not an ending.
You can have a quiet victory like that. You can have a quiet victory of like, you know what? I've learned that I'm okay with me, that I don't need this. Like I still fight. I love this adulation or whatever. But if I lose, I'm still me and it's still fine. That again, like it's so subtly done that it's like, you have to do so much to infer that, you know what I mean? Like, not that I need everything spoon fed to me or anything like that, but it does feel like, it's fine. Moving on. That interior struggle that we're supposed to be seeing doesn't come across in those moments.
There's another kind of aspect of this that was weird, where there's this really awkward conversation this earlier in the movie where Mark makes a reference that like, oh, you'd make a really good mother because she did something. I don't remember what it was. And then she's like, no, we don't. We already talked about this. I don't want to have kids.
The other way around. She says, she says it to him about this, about the cactus. Yeah.
Yes, yes, you're 100% right. And he doesn't want kids. I thought that would be in the movie. Like, we spent time learning about that. And then at the end, you get a Chiron showing up saying they got married and had a kid.
Yeah.
So we spent that time with that fight. Show the thing we already know about him. Like, why is that in the movie? Every scene I could say, why is this in the movie?
But I like that scene because it was a thing where it's, the cactus was cool, but it's also a thing where it's like, just let it go, man. Just let it, I think that helps soften the like, oh, what a shrew she is kind of thing. Because she said something and like, okay, maybe he has a point that she keeps bringing this up or something like that, but it's just like, just move on. Like he just decides to make it this huge deal and then she kind of apologizes and moves on. He just keeps pushing and pushing and pushing. Maybe that's just my inner, wimp or something, just being like, who cares? It's not worth fighting about. Move on.
No, I'm there with you. I feel like that he needs to develop some chill, and that would have been a cool thing to follow throughout the movie. We didn't.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. And I think, again, like if there was some element of like, if that's what we're supposed to get from him laughing in the shower, is it, well, now he's chill and cool. I didn't get that. I just got that he's like, I lost, but it's all right. I'm still here and I'll live to fight another day. But like, as much as I've talked about this being this documentary show, like I love the way it looks. I think that the cinematography by Maceo Bishop is great. It already feels like a Safdie movie. That kind of just the staging of stuff and just the characters moving through. It does a good job of like having characters move through a place. It's not just like a bunch of like, cinematic shots of their face or medium shots. Like it's distance of The Rock being in the ring and walking the ring and all that stuff. I like the way it was generally constructed, but just the script I think was really my issue with it. And while I still enjoy it. Obviously, I've spent a fair amount of time talking about issues with it.
Yeah, well, so the script is rough, and I think The Rock is the wrong choice for this. I think somebody with a bit more like natural charisma, not trained charisma, may have like gotten this over a little bit better. But I don't think he works for the role. And I don't know who would work for the role because the script isn't there. But I think if there's someone that you kind of feel like you can get behind a little bit more, I think it would soften a lot of the edges of not feeling like the main character. Mm-hmm. But it does look nice. I just don't like the camera movement, like the documentary style, I think took away from it. I will say one thing that I was very excited about. I haven't seen or thought of bad boy clothing in a very long time. And they showed that at the beginning. I'm like, that was so massive in the 90s. That was like ubiquitous. And I have not thought about that in fucking forever. And that was nice to see.
Well, that's like the song that's playing when they're at the fair, amusement park, whatever. That I think the guy's name's John Cicada. Just Another Day. Like I looked it up afterwards because I was like, man, that song was like ubiquitous, but I never knew who it was. It was back in the day when like music videos were on MTV and VH1, but VH1 showed like light rock music videos.
Yeah.
Safe stuff, I guess. You're not going to get Jackal with a Y on there. But that guy had a number one hit for a hot second. I don't know number one, but a big hit for a hot second. And
I had that same thought of, it's weird that, because I always have this, anytime the radio is on, and the radio is just like, just recycle the exact same songs forever and ever.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird how some songs don't make it. Like that song was huge. It's just as good as any of the other 90s songs that are still on the radio, but somehow that one's just gone.
Well, it's also it's funny how we deal with that, because like before Reservoir Dogs, or was it Pulp Fiction? One of those movies, like there were some oldie songs on that, like Jungle Boogie. I never heard on the radio. After those came out, it's like, oh, Jungle Boogie, we're playing that on the radio because everyone loves this one. Because
Steelers Wheel Stuck in the Middle was not a radio hit until Reservoir Dogs, or it wasn't on repeat on the radio until Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, at least in the Midwest, it wasn't.
I can speak for the Northeast that it wasn't. I think the first time I heard that song was during that movie, and my father, all he listened to was classic rock. So it's like, I think I would have heard it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's just weird how we sort of recycle that, or remember like, oh yeah, no, this song that everyone loves because it was in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Like.
I mean, James Gunn is doing that like every movie now, like all those like Guardians of the Galaxy songs that like no one has thought of for a really long time.
Or if there was that hot second where Running Up That Hill was back in the news because of Stranger Things. The soundtrack in general, I really liked. I like that kind of like just the jazz kind of tootling around soundtrack. I think that played well with the kind of character study documentary sort of feel that it feels a little bit more free form and less structured than your typical sports movie.
Yeah, I can see that. I was a little distracted by it, but from that view, I actually kind of could like it. I was just thinking it's a little more energetic than the film is. So it's actually kind of like reminded me of how kind of low G this movie is.
Yeah.
Because it's like all this like trumpety, like, hey, fast, this is fun. Like it's almost like it's gonna start like the Cowboy Bebop theme is gonna start, and it's just like some guy looking at a wall or doing push-ups.
You already brought up the amazing guitar playing guy doing the Japanese national anthem. The harp national anthem for America, very bizarre. But and again, like, don't know if that was a real thing, but I enjoyed watching it. It was a very strange detour for this movie to make, but I liked it.
How long they spent on that national anthem was on the Japanese national anthem. The guitar guy was somewhere between baffling and infuriating, where it's like, oh, this is cool. Oh, you're doing the whole thing. And it's not like they're cutting to anything else.
Yeah.
It's just watching this guy.
Look at this guy. Look at this weirdo. Yeah. He's just crushing it.
Because at least when they got to the American national anthem, they're like cutting to other stuff. And like, it's like the background thing. You're like, okay, I can deal with this. But that was, because I was already real fucking tired of this movie. I'm like, really? You're going to make you sit through the fucking...
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's real towards the end. Yeah.
That's all my notes.
Yeah. Smashing Machine.
Oh, wait. Sorry. I do have to... Sorry.
Yeah,
Let's not wrap up. But
yeah.
We referenced it. The end of the movie, we cut to current day or whatever. Mark Kerr retires in 2009. And we cut to the parking lot of like a grocery store.
Yeah.
And he's pushing a shopping cart and kind of smiling and talking to himself.
Oh,
and
jeez.
He's like, oh, after all these years, shucks. And then he waves to us in the audience.
Yeah.
What the fuck was that?
Yeah. I did not love the ending. That was weird because like this guy is consciously on camera and it feels very uncomfortable watching him be on camera because he knows he's on camera. And then, again, like we touched on where it's like, you remember his name. He's Mark Kerr. Why do I need to remember his name? You've never tied it to this UFC thing at all. You're making me watch a guy doing this sport. And like, it's about this guy. It has nothing to do with, and then the UFC happened.
It's baffling.
Yeah. If they showed it like, and then they screwed him over and built the Coliseum on his bones. Okay. But that wasn't there.
Yeah. It's not. Okay. Honestly, that was my last note. Sorry.
Yeah. It's just like, you're watching one of those like apocalypto type movies or something like that. And it's like, and then the Aztecs kicked ahead through a hoop. Now the NBA makes billions of dollars. Remember Quetzalcoatl. You're like, oh, okay.
Oh God. What was that? The Mel Gibson one? Like if that happens in
Apocalypto.
Like, Act 3?
Yeah. I don't know if that indeed happens, but I know that was one that was whatever his story. Anyway, Yeah, like I enjoyed it in a Frasier ass way.
Yeah, it's hard not recommend. I struggle. I struggle. Did not enjoy this movie.
Well, we should probably do the things you like.
So what have I? Oh yeah, I watched Wonder Man, the new Marvel TV show, and it was delightful.
I've been hearing fun things.
It is. There's no Marvel. The entire show is the lead character. He is a name that's hard to pronounce, so I'm just gonna say the lead character. And he's a struggling actor, and also a person with powers. And we don't really know what the powers are throughout the entire show. And he hooks up with Ben Kingsley, who used to be the Mandarin in the MCU.
Yes.
But his name is Trevor in this, and he's the guy, and everyone's like, wait, weren't you the Mandarin? And it's like a fun runner through the show.
Mm-hmm.
And like they become like acting buddies, and they become really good friends, and it's just like a friendship story for 8 episodes. And like there's a bit of powers in like the last 2, and not even like there's no fights. There's fights, but there's not. It's the most like it's literally just like 2 guys becoming friends over the course of it, and one guy kind of maybe like becoming slightly more all right with his powers, and like it was just really good and small, and it's like, oh, Marvel can do this, all right,
nice.
But if you're there for like fights and explosions and that kind of thing for Marvel, yeah, this is not the one you're looking for.
Right. I mean, it's like that's kind of what I liked about the first season of Luke Cage, is that kind of thing that, like, I don't know, just the dealing with the day-to-day life stuff.
Yeah, but that was done. But Luke Cage was done well. Luke Cage is done so much better than the Smashing Machine.
I think they're trying to do they're trying to do 2 different things, but fair enough.
No, actually, that guy from Luke Cage, let's have him as Mark Kerr.
Sure, why not?
Get that guy. Yeah, he's got charisma. He oozes charisma. What have you seen recently that are?
I got the second box set, All Haunts Are Ours, Volume 2 of folk horror that I've been burning through and enjoying. There's a very strange movie I watched called November that I'm not even going to try to describe, but it's a movie that takes place in this small Estonian village. Really enjoyed that one. Very beautiful. Like it felt like that episode of The Simpsons where Homer's watching Twin Peaks, where it's like amazing. I have no idea what's going on. Like I didn't fully grasp it. There's just shot, because it's this very stark black and white, just shots in that were just making me gasp. Other than that, I've been watching a ton of 30 Rock, which is great. Tubi just got Look Around You, this great series by Peter Serafinowicz and Robert Popper.
I love him.
Yeah, Peter Serafinowicz he was the voice of Darth Maul. He's the crappy roommate in
he was
Shaun of the
he was
Dead.
the Tick in the most recent Tick adaptation.
That's right. Yeah. But it's like this there's 2 seasons of it, and the second season is a little bit more like this kids presentation show. Like Blue Peter is what gets referenced a lot. I didn't grow up in the UK, so I have no idea.
Yeah, I know the reference. Yeah.
But the first season is this weird like science video thing that you would watch in school. It's sort of a take on that, and very funny, very, very dry, but I really enjoyed that immensely. And then I've been playing a ton of Claire Obscure Expedition 33 for the PlayStation 5. That looks so good.
I want to get to that.
It's so goddamn French. It's wild.
Oh, really?
Like just music choices, things that happen. I won't say some things because I want it to be a surprise, but then it's also the way it just flips between maudlin and irreverent, like the MASH robot in that episode of Futurama, where it's like, here's like the silliest thing you've ever seen, and now it's so sad because he died. But it's really fun. The combat, I don't know, I've kind of fallen out of favor with JRPGs and that kind of thing, but the combat really keeps me interested and is pretty deep. But yeah, that's... Oh, and I saw the new Return to Silent Hill in theater, which I actually enjoyed. I don't think it's a good movie necessarily, but I really liked it.
I didn't realize it came out already. I heard they were doing that.
Yeah, we went to go see it for the other podcast that I'm legally not allowed to name. But it was funny because there was no it wasn't on the marquee. There were no posters up, and on the since it was a big multiplex, you had to order. You buy your ticket on a screen. And no image on the screen. Every other movie had like a poster. It was like, yeah, you can see Return to Silent Hill. So
shit.
For next time, we've been doing a lot of like big Oscar movies, important, thought-provoking pieces, and we thought we'd keep that going by doing Tarot, some supernatural horror film about tarot cards. Alex is a big tarot nerd. I'm a big horror nerd, so we thought, well, why not combine the two and watch this movie called Tarot.
Yes, and it's definitely not that like nothing good was coming out this month and we just chose one at random. That definitely didn't happen.
Absolutely not. No, this is a movie that we're dedicated to talk about. And in fact, people have been emailing us a lot about seeing that. They're like, "Hey, John, I love you. I don't actually want to beat you with hammers. Why don't you watch Tarot?"
Yeah, I did. I saw that email.
Thank you for sending it, by the way.
yeah, you got it. You got that kid from Spider-Man's in it, so we can bank on him being great.
Sure. That kid played who?
The other kid from Spider-Man, the kind of like Hawaiian looking kid.
Oh yeah. Well, and it's got
Ned, I think his name might be.
It's got Alan Fuere, or however you say it, in it. She's great. She's always good and stuff. Mandy as the crazy older lady.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we will be watching Tarot from 2024, the American one, and we'll see you next time. Good evening.
Goodbye.